As I outlined in our previous lesson, the second all-important step in mastering your finances is to make sure that your bank account equals what your budget says you need. So once we've got our budget in place and we're producing a consistent monthly surplus, that surplus needs to be used to build up the balance of our central working account so that the balance of that central working account matches what our budget says we need. And this is a fantastic place to be because once we've got our bank account to that point, we now have our future expenses covered. So assuming we keep putting aside 1/12 of each of our expenses, we will have enough money to pay our bills and expenses as and when they turn up. Now, this is such an exciting place to get to because typically it means you've broken that paycheck to paycheck cycle, which most people find themselves stuck in. So this is a very important second step. But the question I get asked, and quite rightly so, is, well, how do I know what I'm supposed to have in my bank account? How do I actually know what's supposed to be sitting there? Well, at Grandma's Jars, we have a process for this, and it's called the end of month summary. Not very imaginative, but it's a fantastic process because what it does is it allows us to reconcile our bank account with our budget and tells us exactly how much we should have sitting in our bank account. It tells us if we've got a surplus or a deficit and exactly how much a surplus or deficit is. So in this video, I want to take you through the end of month summary process. Well, in fact, I'm going to take you through the theory of the end of month summary process. And then in the next video, I'm going to take you through the actual Grandma's Jars application and how it works in the application itself. Firstly, there are 4 things you need to know to complete your end of month summary. I will start by listing them and then I will take you through each in detail. It is important to emphasize here that the bank and credit card balances need to be recorded as of the last day of the month, not the day before, not the day after, but the last day. So the 4 things you will need. Firstly, the total balance of the funds remaining in your jars on the last day of the month. The second thing you will need is your everyday jar allocation for next month. The third thing is, what did you add to your credit card this past month? And the last thing you need is the balance of your central working account on the last day of the month. The first thing we need to know to complete the end of month summary is what is the balance of the funds remaining in all your jars on the last day of the month. I want you to be sure that when you are looking at your phone app that you have the physical money backing up what your jars say you have. In this example here, I have 10 jars. Today is the last day of the month, so with the exception of the everyday jar, all the jars have accumulated funds that will roll over into next month. The total of these accumulated funds is $2,800. The jar summary page on the Grandma's Jars app gives us this same information. Here you can see all of Dean and Emma's jars for August 2017. The far right-hand side column gives us the funds remaining at the end of the month, and at the very bottom, circled in red, we can see the sum total of all the funds remaining in all of the jars. So you can see here that Dean and Emma are going to need at least $4,811 in their central account to make sure that their first pool is full. The second thing you need to know to complete your end of month summary is what is your monthly allocation to your everyday jar. When you watch a lesson on the ideal bank account structure, you will see that I highly recommend isolating your everyday spending money into a separate transaction account on the first day of each month. The everyday spending jar typically includes things like groceries, petrol, takeaway, entertainment, bought coffees, bought lunches, and so on. This is where we typically waste so much money. $10 here, $20 there adds up really fast. So isolating this allowance in a separate account provides a great spending boundary. For this strategy to work, however, you need to make sure that on the last day of the month, your everyday allowance is sitting in your central account ready to be transferred on the first day of the month to your everyday transaction account.
The third thing we need to know is what did you add to the credit card last month? The easiest way to figure this out is simply what was the balance of my credit card at the start of the month less what was the balance of my credit card at the end of the month. Now, if you pay your credit card off every month, you can just make this zero. People often ask me, well, why do we have to add our credit card balance into this equation? And I give them this example. Let's just say that I have $300 in my grooming jar, and the new pair of Gucci shoes I've been looking at for a while comes up on sale. Instead of $300, I can now get them for $200. I buy the shoes on the credit card knowing I have the money in the bank to pay off my credit card, and I diligently enter the transaction into my budget. As a result, the balance of my grooming jar drops from $300 to $100, and the balance of my credit card goes from $0 to $200. When we get to the end of month, I still need the $100 to cover my grooming jar, plus I now also need the $200 to pay off the credit card. So in total, there are 3 things we need to cover in this first pool. The funds remaining in your jars, which is $2,800, next month's everyday allowance, which is $1,000, and the amount added to the credit card over the past month, so the $200 for my Gucci shoes, this totals $4,000. In this example, we have $4,500 in the central working account, which means that we have $500 more than we need to fill the first pool. We call this $500 true savings. These are true savings because they have come to us after all of your expenses have been factored in. These savings can now overflow into our second pool, which is the rainy day fund. And of course, if the second pool is already full, you've got your rainy day fund, then those funds can overflow into paying off debt or achieving significant lifestyle goals. Now, let's just say we only have $3,500 in our central account. So instead of having a $500 surplus, we would actually have a $500 deficit, which means this first pool is not yet full, and our priority for the next month or two's budget savings would be to build the central account up to increase this balance so that it could match and ultimately exceed what the budget says we need.
Well, there you go. I'm hoping that's made sense. I know it can be a little mind-boggling, but I'm hoping it has made sense to you. It is a very powerful process, this end-of-month summary process, because at the end of it, you will know exactly how much you need in your bank account to cover all of your expenses. It will tell you whether you've got a surplus or a deficit, and it will tell you exactly how much that surplus or deficit is. So it becomes very easy to measure your progress. And so often with our finances, we don't know whether we're going forwards or whether we're going backwards, but this takes all that subjectivity away and gives you a very objective, easy to quantify measure that tells you, how am I really going? Now, we have built this end of month summary process into our new Grandma's Jars app. So in the next video, I'm going to take you through how to complete the end of month summary process in the Grandma's Jars application.